According to Mark Spears, LeBron and the Lakers are interested in taking Chris Paul away from the Suns. And they're also looking at Russell Westbrook in a potential sign and trade that would include Dennis Schroeder, Kyle Kuzma, and Talen Horton-Tucker. Now, the Chris Paul thing...
There's a little something there. A little.
It's something because they've been friends for a long time and have talked about playing with each other and all of that stuff. Like, they have a relationship. However, I don't know what kind of relationship you would have that would cause you to leave this much money on the table. Chris Paul has a $44.2 million player option for next season. He would become a free agent if he declines it, but because of the over 38 rule, he can only extend his contract for a maximum of 2 years. So he would basically, the most the Lakers can offer him is $9.5 million.
Okay, so here's my read. This story was leaked to give Chris Paul leverage and Westbrook leverage because people like Westbrook. Nobody wants to play with him, but they like him. And LeBron likes him, and they work out at UCLA here, right around the corner. And so if you leak this, that the Lakers are interested, it helps the market for Westbrook. And everybody likes Westbrook. Again, they don't want to play with him. They like him. And this could be a leak to help Chris Paul have more leverage. If I have to hear another Melo and Westbrook rumor, everybody wants to play with them, and nobody ever does. And I'm just guessing. I don't have any inside information here. Total guess.
Right.
But this could be one of those where somebody in LeBron's camp to do a solid to Westbrook or Chris Paul. And maybe it's not LeBron's camp, but this feels. I look at the salary cap structure and I'm like, this doesn't make any sense.
Well,
this is not
the
happen.
money just doesn't. The money doesn't add up. You're not going to go from making. I don't care how much money you've made in your career. You're not going to go from possibly making $44 million to $9.5.
Yeah, that doesn't
play with LeBron and the Lakers. And is it even a better situation? Like, it's LeBron and the Lakers. I get it, but AD is not guaranteed to be healthy. Like, there's no guarantee that just because Chris Paul goes to the Lakers that all of a sudden now they are going to win a championship.
By the way, he's old and expensive. They got plenty of that already.
I mean, they have to essentially rebuild their whole roster. Like, it's not a for sure thing. If it was a plug and play situation and Chris Paul's at the end of his career and he desperately wants a championship and it's almost a guarantee.
I don't know.
Okay, but obviously the Lakers are not happy with Dennis Schroeder, which is also an element of this. This story.
Schroeder's I've been told Schroeder's a lot to deal with, and I don't want to pay him $120 million. I don't know. Sometimes I see stories, and the story behind the story is somebody is trying to do somebody a solid to get it out there and elevate your worth.
Because Westbrook has he's entering the fourth year of a 5-year contract, and he has a $47 million player option for 2022-23. So the Rams are desperately in need of some depth at the running back position following the Cam Akers season-ending Achilles injury, and former Ram Eric Dickerson thinks they should bring back Todd Gurley.
No.
Come on, that's a no-brainer. Todd Gurley for sure. Okay, that's a no-brainer. I mean, he knows the offense. He knows his offense. He doesn't have to come in and try to learn it. He knows McVay. He knows the guys on the team. That would be an easy fit.
No, that's not. There's a reason they were over Gurley. He was over them. And by the way, running back, fortunately, there's a lot of them in the draft. There's a lot of them on the market. Cam Akers isn't losing Stafford or Aaron Donald. I don't think the Rams. I think they're perilously thin on the offensive line. Austin Blythe gone. But there's enough. You can get close to Cam Akers on the market. Close to him.
They have to do something. I don't know that Eric is right about Todd Gurley knowing McVay and knowing the system and all those things. But Todd Gurley isn't the same player he was in 2017.
And they were, by the way, they had worn each other out. Like when they let him go, it was not good in the locker room.
Yeah, and I don't think Todd Gurley is done. But remember, it was just such a weird situation. Like, we couldn't figure out what was going on. Is he injured? Is there something going on, like, personnel-wise? It was kind of a weird breakup. So I don't know that it's the best fit, but they do desperately need a running back. So they're going to have to make some kind of move.
Yeah, because Malcolm Brown went to Miami, so they lost their power back and they've lost their lead back. So they just don't have a go-to running back right now. Joy with the news.
Well, that's the news.
Well, Giannis had an incredible 50-point performance in Game 6 to clinch his first NBA title, but just a few days earlier, he was dealing with some intense pain. After Game 5, he had to take a break from his post-game press conference, and according to The Athletic, during those 30 minutes, he was extremely sick to his stomach from dehydration and had to receive a fluid IV treatment. He had 32 points, 9 rebounds, and 6 assists in Game 5. So was dehydrated, came back to the press conference and finished it, and then had 50 points in Game 6. Nothing really too dramatic, but it does speak to just the amount of exhaustion and effort that Giannis was putting forth in this finals. If you remember last year, Budenholzer was getting a lot of criticism because he didn't play Giannis what people felt like enough minutes when they got bounced by the Heat. He had a lot more balance with the minutes across the board with the roster this postseason. I mean, he was saying like he wants everybody fresh. Like that makes sense during the regular season, but in the playoffs, you got to go all out.
Well,
which he certainly did.
Even great players like James Harden, who don't, Harden and Westbrook tend to sort of, because of their ball-centric style, wear down in the playoffs. And they don't give you the effort on the defensive end Giannis does. So Giannis is clanging out back there with the biggest guys. He always has to guard the best big. So, yeah, I mean, a couple years ago, LeBron cramped up in a game. And some of the LeBron-hating media was like ripping LeBron because he cramped. And it's like, oh, so you've never worked out. Like when you're, I mean, like whenever I hear people like rip on athletes for like dehydration, it's like you've never worked out because I don't even work out hard and I've dehydrated.
Yeah, I mean, and you can be hydrated, like you can do all of the same things and still get dehydrated because you're exerting that much more effort. I mean, like you're playing more minutes, it's everything in your body is operating and spinning at a higher level because of the intensity of the situation.
Well, in football, there's 11 minutes of action. In baseball, there's less. You're asking the world's best athletes to run up and down the court for 3 hours. And by the way, inside, it's hot. Get on a plane, go travel. There's a reason a lot of NBA guys put on a lot of weight when they retire.
Yeah.
Because you're not burning 7,000 calories a night on the floor.
Yeah, and no one's going to argue that Giannis is not in shape. So the Lakers are reportedly on the hunt.
That's what happens when a great coach leaves. Nick Saban, if he leaves Alabama tomorrow, they'll still be very good for the next couple of years because he's built a system. There's great internal momentum. But in the end, the Cowboys have never been the same. And the reason they have never been the same, and this is a cautionary tale for all people in business, there are very few outside voices allowed into the Cowboys. They're the most insular NFL franchise, even more than Green Bay. Almost every highly paid player the Cowboys have is theirs. There's this feeling inside the building, we know what we're doing here. 13 of the top 14 paid players for the Cowboys are theirs. Most overpaid, drafted by them. Most overpaid, or they've held on to him too long. The Rams, and they win a lot more than the Cowboys do. Andrew Whitworth, not theirs. Robert Woods, not theirs. Matt Stafford, not theirs. Jalen Ramsey, not theirs. They don't care. The Rams don't care. They just want the best football players. They can admit, we missed on this guy. We didn't do a good job here. Kansas City Chiefs, 3 of their 4 top cap hits. They didn't draft him. Honey Badger, didn't draft him. Offensive line, just rebuilt it. None are theirs, all right? If you look at the Buffalo Bills, winning a lot more than Dallas these days. They have a chance to win multiple Super Bowls the next decade. Stephon Diggs, Cole Beasley, Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer, 3 or 4 of their offensive linemen, not theirs. They just want the best football players. The best teams in this league, they just want good football players. Wherever they're at, they'll get them. They'll trade for them. Dallas, 13 of their top 14 paid guys, they drafted them. We know what we're doing. We're not interested in outside voices. We know what we're doing. We're going to pay and draft. And the truth is, Dallas has a bunch of good football players. They don't have a lot of great football players. Tyron Smith will go into the Hall of Fame. He's no longer great. The NFL just added a game to the schedule. He's playing fewer and fewer a year. So Amari Cooper is one of their rare, hey, let's go get somebody else's player. And he's their most dependable wide receiver. But CeeDee Lamb and Michael Gallup, and it's just what Dallas does. They fall in love with their own selection, and they fall in love with their own opinions. And I do not believe you can build a dynasty in any business without help and outside voices. Okay? If you want to be Walmart, but even Walmart now doesn't have the market share they used to. The Walton family. I just don't think Dallas brings outside voices in. They've increasingly taken power away from the coach. They hire the coach they can control, Mike McCarthy. They let the coaches they can't, Parcells and Jimmy Johnson, go. Joy with the news.
No. Turn on the news. This is the Herd Line News.